Hello and welcome to my fourth YouTube channel, and here's my garden again. It just rained and it's late in the evening, so I'm just gonna pour myself a chamomile tea to calm myself down. We've had so many struggles, and struggles are part of my life because sometimes life is good, and I'm sure it will end in a good way, but right now it's not so easy. Here's my chamomile tea. Now, I hope that this channel will, in the end, bless you, as it certainly doesn't start in a kind and gentle way. It starts with Jacob and Esau and their arguments together, and just a distraction there. That's a nice painting from a Christian in Nepal. Yeah, and how their characters are quite typical of the human beings, or that we recognize in ourselves. But actually, just as the hero Jesus is God's hero because he was a great miracle provider, and then he was the ultimate miracle of saving us from our sins by dying and coming back to life again. That is a story of including real bad times, Without the story, our life is not interesting. We're not interesting enough. So having a bad time is part of this being interesting. So, yeah, we'll hope it'll be a sandwich where there's something good. The bread is good either side of the sandwich, and in the middle, there's some big crazy adventure. People like to quote The Lord of the Rings in England because it's got some British culture in, instead of it just being about the Bible, which everyone concentrates on. The Lord of the Rings is British culture, not Middle Eastern culture, which the Bible is. But of course, God chose many thousands of years ago um, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Jacob was then called Israel, which then developed in Egypt to become a big nation of 12 groups from his 12 sons. And then the story, that what makes things interesting is that, with the ups and downs, it makes it a really interesting story of good and bad, and then good happening again. And Jesus, the hero from God, is sent by a miracle completely separate from any other human. So it's not about the Israelites being a chosen people with Jesus being chosen. Jesus is chosen, for any race and every race. But God wanted Jesus to be part of the world so that he fits in. And so he had to, I suppose you could say, God chooses a group of people. You could say God had to choose a group of people, but no, if God is above, then God chose to choose a group of people. And so, with a story being important, yeah, obviously God prepared these people by teaching, for Jesus, for his hero Jesus, by teaching them about God and what God demands. And in fact, what I read today was how impossibly perfect God requires us to be, impossible being the reason why he needed to send a hero as a human being. So the reason he sent to the Israelites is because that is who God made the Israelites to be. He made the Israelites the same as he made everybody else and everything else. So we have to just acknowledge that in the story of this world, we have all got lesser and greater parts. And just be grateful for what you've got. Whether you've got a more holy part, or for us in the West, a more technological part, all provided by God, but with different levels and amounts of importance. We might have more importance, but we we have a lesser level of importance than the Israelites. And you, in your culture, if you're not a Western person like me, have an important part in God's, that God made you important for what you know you are proud of, that you are good at, better than any other races are good at, whatever you're good at. So thanks be to God, and enjoy, because the majority of these videos will be about Joseph, who was perhaps the only perfect hero except for Jesus. The other heroes in the Bible were all doing big mistakes, except for Joseph and of course Jesus. And Joseph is Jacob's first legitimate son to his chosen wife. He had many other children and another wife and two slave mistresses, concubines, that were servants, that it was all immoral and mixed up, and without Jesus we cannot forgive. But people take it for granted, forgiveness. But if you know Jesus, then you should respect that. Thank you very much. And thanks be to Nepal, that picture above, for their respect for others. And there's another religion, Buddhism, where a man called Buddha came from, that country there. That country there from Nepal. So let's respect, you have to respect one another as God made all.